Good day, ma'am. I am Jeremy Bilominsa. So at this moment, we will be discussing or talking the ecology and the symbiosis. By the way, this is the continuation of the ecology and symbiosis topic, and in this topic we have a four main topic that we'll be discussing. But then, since my co-partner already discussed this biogeochemical cycling and introductory microbial ecology and the microorganisms in marine and freshwater environment, in my point, we will be talking only these two topic, which is the microorganisms and terrestrial environment and the microbial interactions. Okay. So microorganisms and terrestrial environment. What is terrestrial environment, by the way? Of course, terrestrial environment, the term terrestrial in biology is generally used to describe living organisms that live and grow on land. So, sa lahat ng makikita mo ng mga may buhay na mga hayop or anything as long as may mga buhay nakikita mo di sa paligid natin, yung mga yon ay mas kilala sa tawag na terrestrial. Kumbaga, these living organisms. Yes. And the term environment in biology is generally used to describe surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. So, when we say naman environment, ito yung mga nagde-describe ng mga anong tawag doon, yung mga tinitirhan ng mga organisms, living organisms. Kumbaga kung saan sila nakatira or anong place sila doon specific na is yun yung tinatawag na environment, while terrestrial is tinatawag na yung mga living organisms na nakatira mismo. Okay. So next. So let's talk first the soil profile. Every soil is made up of succession of layers, collectively known as soil profile. The soil profile consists of two or more horizontal layers called horizons. As you can see in the pictures, we have here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, 5 rather. The 5 layers, the organic, the surface, the subsoil, the substratum, and the last one is the bedrock. So let's proceed to the characteristics of soil. Characteristics of soil, we have first the porous. It is a full of open spaces or pores able to store water and transmit it to deeper earth layers to host diverse bacteria. So, sa mga kalupaan natin kung saan especially yung mga masyado ng drought or uga na masyado yung yuta o yung lupa is meron siyang mga liki-liki or mga buslot-buslot na kung saan kapag uulan or taligsik yung tubig hindi lang siya nasa-stuck dito sa sa first layer ng lupa. Kumbaga pumapasok siya sa kailaliman ng lupa, tinatawag na porous. While the second is the biologically active and diverse, which microbes which performs ecological functions, decomposition, nutrient cycling, bioremediation of toxic pollutant. And the next is mineral, forms from a breakdown and chemical processing of the earth's rock, crushed into sand, settled in clay, each with its own ability to store water. And the organic, which just contains carbon-containing remains of plants and animals. And the last is the matrix, host a highly complex ecosystem with interacting parts. Okay, so again, the characteristics of soil, we have the porous, the biologically active and diverse, the mineral, the organic, and the last one is the matrix. And now let's proceed to soil components. The soil is composed of four major components. Firstly, first, 45% inorganic mineral consists of rocks slowly broken down into smaller particles that vary in size. And of course, it has a 25% of water, 25% of air, and the 5% of organic material, also called humus, which is made up of microorganisms, dead or alive, and decaying animals and plants. So soil particles are classified based on particular sizes. So the sand, which is 0.1 to 2 millimeter diameter. The silt, or it has a 0.002 to 0.1 millimeter diameter, while the clay, mm, greater than 0.002 millimeter diameter. In the loam soil, the mixture of sand, silk, and humus, no particle size dominance. Ah, so the sand, the silk, the clay, it has a, it has a particular sizes, okay? But when we see the loam soil, it has no, because it is, maybe it is because it is the mixture of this, of the three sand, salt, and humus. That's why it has no particular, sizes. So soil properties and effect on microbial communities. First, we have the nutrients. Nutrients determines the proliferation of microorganisms. The pH, it influences carbon availability, nutrients availability, and the solubility of metals. It is also a various plant diseases are also influenced by soil pH. The next one is the moisture. Moist soils harbor more disease microbial communities. Um, Excessive soil mixtures may lead to lower biomass of microorganisms. Kumbaga, hindi masyadong advisable na yung moisture ng isang soil is masyadong marami. Kumbaga, dapat katamtaman lang siya. Katamtaman lang nang sa ganun ay hindi siya, it may not lead to lower biomass of microorganisms. And next one, the soil properties, is the aeration. The microorganisms in soil require oxygen for respiration and metabolism. It has a poor aeration, slows down rate of decay. So it is not also good when the aeration in a soil is poor, because it slows down rate of decay. Kumbaga, dapat katamtaman or mas abundant din siya when it comes to aeration. And important microbial activities such as the composition of organic matter, the nitrification, and sulfur oxidation depends on the oxygen present in soil. And I think this is the last one in soil properties and effects on microbial, which is the temperature. It is an important factor that regulate microbial activity in shaping the soil microbial community. So yes, that's six. Wait, let me see again. 1, 2, 3. And that's the five properties that affects on microbial communities. Now let's proceed to who is at home in the soil. Sino-sino nga ba ang mga nakatira sa lupa? Of course, aside sa mga tao, let's go deeper kung ano-ano nga ba, kung sino-sino pa ba ang nakatira. So microbial diversity in soil. Soil organisms can be grouped on the basis of sizes. how big they are, kung maliit ba sila, malaki, katamtaman, or sobrang malaki, or mas malaki pa sa tao. Meron bang mga ganong organisms, or the species who they are related to, related ba sa tao, related ba sa isang organisms pa, or sa ibang living organisms, and functions, how they make their living. Paano sila nabubuhay, okay? Paano sila nag-multiply, paano sila dumadami. That is the the basis group, okay, of the soil organisms. So we have here the size of soil organisms. And when we say macro or large, it has a 2 millimeter, okay, greater than, oh my god, so I forget, so what I said earlier, it is less than pala ngayon, ito yung greater than, while the meso or the mid-size, okay, meso or mid-size, it has a 2 to 0.2 millimeters, while the micro or the smallest of these three, it has a less than 0.2 millimeters. Okay, so next, okay, here we go. The types of microorganisms, the bacteria, the algae, the protozoa, the fungi, and the viruses. So what is bacteria? When we say bacteria, they are the most dominant group of microorganisms in soil. Bacteria thrive in soil as Cuci, Bacilli, or Spirulli. And of course, bacteria are grouped as mesophiles, the psychrophiles, and the thermophiles. When we say bacteria, in Arctic zones where temperature is below the freezing point, bacteria can thrive as luxuriantly as they do in our desertic soil where temperatures are very high. So bacteria from the world is the most dominant group. Kumbaga, hindi na nakakapagtakang bakit sila ay tinuring the most dominant group. Kasi they can survive at freezing temperature and deserted area. Imagine, ang init-init na ng deserted area pero nakaka-survive sila. And ang lamig-lamig na, kumbaga nag-freeze na nga yung isang lugar, nakaka-survive pa rin sila. Kumbaga, that's why they are the most dominant group of microorganisms in soil talaga. So, importance of bacteria in soil. There are basically 4 functional soil bacteria groups, including the decomposers, the mutualists, the pathogens, and the lithotrophs. And when we say decomposers, they feed on dead litter, okay? While mutualists, from partnership with plants like nitrogen fixing bacteria, while the pathogens is the induced disease. The agrobacterium causes gall formation in plants, while the lithotrophs obtain energy from inorganic compounds such as nitrogen, sulfur, iron, or hydrogen instead of carbon. These species are important biogeochemical cycling and degradation of pollutants. Okay, this lithotrophs is important, of course. No, not lithotrophs, but these 4 functional soil bacteria. So the next one, after the bacteria, the fungi, microscopic cells that grow long thread called hyphae. Mass of hyphae is called the mycelium. And with that, in line with the fungi, there are 3 functional groups: the decomposers or the saprophytic fungi, which decomposers or the saprophytic fungi convert dead organic matter into fungal biomass, carbon dioxide, and organic acids. Fungi, in order for them to use complex substrates such as cellulose and lignin in wood. When you see naman mutualist, from the word itself, mutual, okay? Mutual. Mutualist mycorrhizal fungi is colonized plant roots. They colonize plant roots in exchange for carbon from plants. The mycorrhizal fungi help solubilize phosphorus and bring soil. And pathogens or parasites um, cause reduced productions or death when they colonize plant roots. Some fungi parasitize disease causing nematodes and feeds on insects and may be useful as biocontrol agents. So, as we all know, parasites are not good, okay? There are no good when it comes to parasites. Imagine they colonize plant roots na kung saan pag ginawa nila yun, that certain plants will die, okay? Kumbaga, hindi na siya lalabo, hindi na siya magkakaroon ng, o lalaki. Kumbaga, mamamatay siya kasi inano siya, in-attack or ano tawag doon? Binahayan ng parasites ang isang plants. Okay. So the next one, the third, which is the algae. It includes cyanobacteria or the prokaryotic, the green algae, and the atom or what they call or known as eukaryotic. It has less numerous than bacteria or fungi, but is more numerous than protozoa. So when we heard the algae, kumbaga hindi siya ganun karami o kumbaga hindi siya ganun kabilis mag-multiply kagaya nila bacteria at nila fungi. Pero mas marami naman siya kumpara kang protozoa. And algal population vary depending on soil types. Okay. The acidic soil, which is the green algae, the neutral soil, which is the diatoms. So, we have here the environmental factors that controls growth of algal population. There are two, the temperature and the water. So herbicides reduce algal population of the soil environment. And the fifth one, which is the protozoa, it includes ciliates, the flagellates, and the amoeba. And it plays important role in nutrient cycling and regulates bacterial population in soil, and of course it helps stimulate decomposition. So as you can see in the picture, that is the ciliates, the flagellates, and the amoeba. So the last one, the viruses. The human and animal viruses periodically find their way into soils through addition of waste. A number of plants viruses are transmitted through the soil or by soil-borne viruses to plant roots. The soil-borne viruses infect several economically important crops, okay, including the barley, the potato, the sugar beet, the groundnut, and fruit crops. Soil-borne viruses are very persistent, okay? Very persistent. They can exist for decades in the soil and long live resting spores of their vectors, making eradication of disease made difficult when soil is contaminated. So imagine, through years, through decades, millions, I don't know if they can still exist in that soil, even though it has a million years na. Pero it's stated here that they can exist for decades in a soil na kung saan sila pwede sila doon hanggang decade o sobra pa. So, ganun ka-powerful yung viruses. Okay. Which, nakakasira lang kasi ano siya, it makes eradication of disease, and it may difficult when soil is contaminated. So, microorganisms in different soil, the cold mist aerosols, fungi produce special antifreeze proteins, or the AFP, that enables them to function under these harsh conditions. So as you can see in the pictures, no, even though nabalutan na siya ng ice, okay? Even though halos wala nang makita ng fungi kasi puro ice na lang siya. But still, the fungi is healthy, as you can see in the color, because it is green. Healthy na healthy siya kasi pala it has a kumbaga nakaka-produce siya ng special antifreeze proteins, what we call AFP nga, kasi nga in order for them to survive in that particular area, okay? Siguro kung kahit isang buwan or isang taon pa yung nakababad sa yellow or sa niebe, hindi siya mamamatay o hindi siya kasi nga meron siyang kapangyarihan, which is nakaka-produce siya ng antifreeze, okay? And aside from that, in the microorganisms in different soil, we have also the desert soils. And of course, the last one, the geologically heated hyperthermal soils. A wide variety of chemoorganotrophic genera also are found in this environment. And these include aerobes, the anaerobes. Okay, those are the three microorganisms in different soils. Okay, so we are done with the microorganisms in terrestrial environment. So let's proceed to this last main topic, which is the microbial interaction. Microbial interactions. Symbiosis. When we say symbiosis, it is a two organisms living together. Okay. They are those organisms na kung saan they are living with their partners, okay, or they are living with their companions. An association of two or more different species that lives together. That is what we call the symbiosis. So in microbial interactions, we have the types of microbial interactions. First, the mutualism. Okay, so this is just a brief explain or meaning or explanation. Let's go deeper maya-maya lang din. So when we say mutualism, it is a relationship where both organisms benefits each other. Okay? From the word itself, mutual. Kumbaga sa love pa yan, yung isang tao is in love sa isang tao, at yung isang tao naman yon is in love din sa taong yon. Kumbaga mutual ang feelings. At kung atin namang sasabihin dito sa microbial interactions, of course, it has also the same. Kasi nga, they both benefits with each other. Okay, of course, obligatory sila. And the next one, the types of microbial interactions, is the cooperation. It is a relationship where both organisms benefit, but not obligatory. Kumbaga, they both benefits with each other, but not like the mutualism, because mutualism is obligatory, while the cooperation is not the obligatory. And when we say commensalism, a relationship where one organism's benefit and the other doesn't really care. So, kumbaga kung i-relate natin sa love, it is a one-sided love. Yung isa minahal yung isa, pero yung isa hindi niya minahal yung isa. Or wala siyang pake. Okay, ganun siya. That is what we call the commensalism. So, more microbial interactions, depredation, which is the attacking or killing its prey, as you can see in the pictures, and the parasitism, a relationship where one organism's benefit and other is harm. So imagine, kung i-relate natin siya sa love, ito yung mga taong manggagamit sa isang relasyon. Yung kung saan ginagamit yung isa kasi meron siyang nakukuha, okay? Meron siyang nakukuha. Tapos yung ginagamit niya is nasasaktan. Kumbaga nauubos, okay? Kasi kinukuha mo lahat ng kung anong meron siya, samantalang siya ay walang-wala na. Parang ganun yung kung ating i-relate ang parasitism, manggagamit, kung ating i-relate sa love. And of course, it has also in the amensalism, which is adverse effect one organism has on another. And the competition, the different organisms trying to acquire the same resources or the same resources, yes. Kung ating i-relate sa buhay, kumbaga, kung ano yung kapitbahay mo kung may bagong palit, may bagong bili na mga gagamitan, ay parang gusto mo rin, okay? Yung kung gusto mo, kung meron siya, dapat meron ka din. Kung ano yung meron siyang bago, dapat meron ka rin bago. Parang ganun dito yon. Parang kung i-relate natin siya sa buhay natin. Okay, so here. Let's go deeper. So mutualism, from the Latin word mutuus, or the mutuus, which means, or in English, it is a borrowed or reciprocal. Mutualism defines the relationship in which some reciprocal benefit accrues to both partners. Okay? Relationship with some degree of obligation. Kumbaga, kailangan mo nang mag-obliga sa kanya kasi nga you have the mutual feelings or the mutualism characteristic you have. And of course, partners cannot live separately. Sana all. Okay? One organisms cannot live or cannot grow without these one organisms. Yun yung kahulugan ng mutualism. Just super, sana all. And mutualisms and hosts are dependent on each other. Of course, when you are mutual, of course, you are dependent with each other. Hindi ka nga mabubuhay kung wala siya. Siyempre, wala ka rin magagawa kung wala siya. Nakadepende na yun. Kumbaga, nakadepende kayo sa isa't isa. Ganun yung mutualism. So we have here the example. The lichens or the lichens are the association between specific as sumicids, the fungus, which is the mycobiont, and either green algae or cyanobacteria, phacobiont. Characteristics, morphology of a given lichen or lichen is a property of the mutualistic association and is not exhibited by either symbiont individually because the phacobiont is a photoautotrope. When we say photoautotrope, of course, it is dependent only on light, carbon dioxide, and certain mineral nutrients. The fungus can get its organic carbon directly from the alga or the cyanobacterium. Oh yes, that is what we call the lichen, the example of mutualism. The next one is the photo-cooperation or the synergism. It is a form of mutualism in which both of the organisms are benefited but they do not depend on each other for survival. Kumbaga, nakadepende sila sa isa't isa, oo. Pero when it comes to survival or when it comes to ang buhay na nila, kumbaga iya na sila, okay? They don't need each other na kasi they can survive na in their own. And the example of this is association of the sulfovibrio and the chromatium. It is a photo cooperation between carbon cycle and sulfur cycle, as you can see in the pictures. Okay, so the next one, we have the commensalism, from the Latin word cum, which means, or in English, together, and mensa, which is table. It is a relationship in which one symbiont, the commercial, benefits while the other, sometimes called host, is neither harm nor help. Okay, um, it is a type of relationship between two living organisms in which one organism benefits from the other without harming it. So, kumbaga, yung isang organisms, nakaka-benefit siya sa isa. Kumbaga, nakakakuha siya ng nutrients, or nakakakuha siya ng shelter, or nakakakuha siya doon ng tulong. Pero yung yung nakuhaan niya or nakuhanan niya ay hindi nasasaktan o walang reaction na kung saan na mapapasabi ka ng kawawa siya kasi yung isa kuha ng kuha samantalang wala lang naman siya. Kumbaga wala siyang pakialam, okay? Wala siyang say. Hindi siya okay lang, parang ganon. Okay, parang siyang ganon. And of course, you can see in the pictures. Okay, it is example of wait lang. Okay, as you can see in the pictures, it is a whale, and this one, the yellow one, which attach in his skin, the barnacles. The barnacles get a shelter by attaching on the whale's body without generally harming or benefiting the whale. So, ito yung maganda kasi nakikinabang ka, at the same time, hindi mo nasasaktan yung na tumutulong sa'yo, or yung nakakatulong sa'yo. Okay, that is what we call the commensalism. And the next one, the predation. When one organism, the predator, engulfs and digests another organisms, which we call the prey. Example is the Didenium will prey on the Paramecium. As you can see in the pictures here, okay? Kahit ang liit lang niya, okay? Kahit ang liit niya, at ang laki ng prey niya, as the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, kumbaga na-engulf na talaga niya, nakain na siya. Example, ito yung prey, tapos ito yung predator. Kumbaga kaya niyang sakupin yung isang prey kahit malaki pa yun, okay? Ganon yung predation when it comes to kasi parang the power it holds ay kayang-kaya niya talagang sakupin ang isang organisms kahit malaki pa yan. The prey, imagine the prey can be larger or smaller than the predator, and this normally results in the death of a prey. So kahit malaki pa yung prey, maliit man lang yung predator, kayang-kaya pa rin yun. Kumbaga, parang namomold pa rin niya. Kumbaga, parang slime. Kahit maliit lang siya, at malaki yung organisms na kakainin niya or i-engulf niya, kayang-kaya niya yung ganituhin. Kumbaga, sabi sa putusun o ihang masulod sa iyang kuan. Kumbaga, parang lawa. Kaya niya ikuan ang marsiko, langga, ang tawag doon? Yung mga flies. Kahit maliit lang siya, napuputos niya. Parang ganun. Ganun yun, predation. Okay. So this one, the parasitism. Okay. So it is also a negative interaction in which one organism depends on other for nutrition, where the host is affected and the parasite is benefited. So when we say parasitism naman, ang isa lang yung nakikinabang. Nakikinabang pa siya, tapos nakakapagbigay pa siya ng sakit sa nakukuhaan niya ng mga nutrients. Okay, kagaya ng example natin dito na tapeworms. Tapeworms live in the intestine of some animals. The tapeworm gets nutrients from their host, and their host animal become very sick as they are not getting enough nutrients for their own. Kasi nga, kahit kain pa ng kain yung isang host, kahit pa pinapakain na, yung nutrients na kinakain niya ay hindi na nadidistribute equally sa kanyang mga katawan o sa kanyang mga kasi kinakain lang yun ng isang tapeworms. Kinakain lang yun ng isang tapeworms nga sa iyong intestine. Kaya kahit kain ka pa ng kain, tapos pumapayat ka, kasi nga yung parasite na nakatira sa tiyan mo ay hindi ay sinisira na pala ang iyong kaloob-looban. Sinisira na pala yung buhay mo. Hindi mo lang namamalayan. Namamalayan mo naman, pero hindi mo alam na parasite na pala yon na kumakain sa mga nutrients na nasa intestine mo or nasa loob mo. Ganun yung parasitism. Hindi nakaka-benefit, hindi siya nakakapagbigay benefit sa host, bagkus nakakasama siya. Kumbaga siya lang yung nakikinabang, tapos yung host nasasaktan lang. Parang ganon. That is what we call the parasitism. Okay. When we say naman on amensalism, a relationship in which the product of one organism has negative effect on other organisms. An ecological interaction in which an individual species harms without obtaining benefits. Kumbaga parang pareho lang din to sa parasitism. So, an interaction in which one population produce an inhibitory substance which inhibit the growth of other populations. If that inhibitory substance is an antibiotic, then it is called antibiosis. So we have here an example of amensalism. The algal blooms can lead to the death of many species of fish and other animals. However, the algae or the algae do not benefit from the death of these individuals. Okay, so that is the amensalism. Kumbaga, the product of one organism has negative effect on other organisms. Kagaya nito, ang daming lumot. Siyempre sa dami ng lumot, kumbaga yung mga animals hindi na masyado nakakainom ng tubig doon sa particular na lugar na yon. And dahil doon namamatay sa uhaw. Tapos kapag namatay naman yon, hindi yung lumot or yung lumot hindi siya nakakakuha ng benefit doon from that organism na namatay. That is the amensalism. Okay, so I think the last one, the competition, which arises when different microorganisms within a population or community try to acquire the same resources, whether this is a physical location or a particular limiting nutrients. We have here the example, the Paramecium caudatum and the Paramecium de aurelia. Okay, so competition, of course, it is a negative interactions. Both populations are adversely affected with respect to survival and growth. And from the word itself, competition. The competition for the same resources. Competitive exclusive principle. Why it is competition for the same resources? Kasi in that particular place, kumbaga kung isa lang yung sources ng nutrients or ng makakabuhay sa kanila, syempre yung mga organisms na yun, mag-aaway sila, kumbaga, mag-inilugay sila ng particular place or lugar na may mga nutrients. Nang sa ganun, in order for them to survive, kumbaga ganun yung competition when it comes competitions dito sa microbial interaction. So, we have here the importance of understanding the microbial interactions. Ano nga ba ang kahalagahan? Bakit kailangan nating alamin yung importance ng microbial interactions? Of course, the first is to analyze the impact of the human host to microbiota composition and activity. The second is to understand the underlying governing principle that shape a microbial community, which is a key for microbial ecology, engineering synthetic microbiomes for various biotechnological applications. Yes, and the last one, the microbial interactions are crucial for a successful establishment and maintenance of our microbial populations. Kasi we all know naman that these microbial organisms, it has meron din naman silang rule in this world sa mundo natin. Kaya naman, in order for us to understand their way of living, kailangan alamin natin kung ano nga ba yung mga kaya nila, yung mga original nila, yung mga ginagawa nila. Nang sa ganun ay maprotektahan natin sila. Okay? And I think that's all for my part. The microbial interactions and the microorganisms and terrestrial environment. Thank you, ma'am.